Get on that slip and slide. Terrible. According to legend, the Mapinguari has really, really big claws on both its front and its rear feet. And speaking of the feet, there is something that is described about its rear feet that is strange, and it took me a while to sort out, and that is that the description of its rear feet typically says in the accounts that they were backward facing. And initially I thought, well, that's weird. Its front feet are facing forward and its back feet are facing completely backwards? It doesn't make any sense.
Not really.
But when I started doing some research, what I figured out is that there are some animals that have really large claws, like let's say the sloth, modern day sloths, they have really long claws. Well, those are meant for hanging onto trees and branches and traveling around in that arboreal forest, but if they're on the ground, it's terrible for walking. So what they end up doing is kind of curling their claw underneath their foot.
They kind of like walk on the claws, right?
Yeah, they kind of walk on the claw and the side of their foot. Yeah, like in that very cute sloth picture that Devin is now waving around.
Cute little guy.
So it's very strange, but it's kind of a, if you took your hand and you took your fingers and you folded them under and then rolled your hand onto the side / heel. That's kind of what they're walking on the side of their foot. Their feet are not pointed backwards.
It feels kind of like when your nails get really long. I know all of you have this happen to you 100% of the time.
All the time.
But if imagine your nails were really, really long and you're trying to crawl, your nails were like getting stuck, so they'd be pulling your feet like kind of backwards. Mm-hmm. That's what that looks like to me.
Yeah, which is I think a symptom of that is the curling them under.
Yeah, they're like.
But either way, they're not actually backwards facing. So that's a weird thing.
Yeah, it is still weird. And I guess unique.
Yes.
Yeah, either that or it's got two front ends.
Possible.
Yeah, maybe that's two heads, two front ends.
That's like the...
So when it stands on its hind legs, it's really doing a handstand and standing on its hind legs both at the same time.
So there's all kinds of strange things about this critter. Another strange thing about the Mapinguari is its face, this is up for a lot of debate. Some people say that the face is like a hairy humanoid face or a monkey-ish face, shorter nose, two eyes that are side by side instead of, say, like a dog's, or a rabbit's where they're kind of more on the side of the head.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more humanoid in that regard. But then there's other stories that say that no, it doesn't have more of your traditional human face. It's got more of a snout, but it only has a single eye. So it's a cyclops, which we have not seen in nature before.
No,
I was going to say, there's no good practical reason for one single eye.
No, there's a lot of reasons to have two at least.
Oh, if two at the minimum.
Yeah.
I have 4, and I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, I was meaning to talk to you about that.
Work with 2, because the more the better.
Yeah. Definitely redundancy,
Exactly.
If you lose 1 or 2, you still got a few more.
Yeah, if I don't cut my hair, I can still see, because I have such long hair.
Yeah.
I've been dancing around this, but we should probably get into yet another weird feature of this cryptid, and that is its mouth, or more appropriately, its mouths, plural, because it has a normal mouth on its head where you would expect to see said feature, but according to the stories, it also has one in the middle of its stomach.
Yeah, that's, if you happen to be choking to death, but you're still hungry, you can still feed yourself.
Oh, is that why that happened?
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, well, see, that's not what I got from the reading. The reading
really?
I got said that the reason there's a second stomach there is because this cryptid, second mouth, I should say, on its stomach is that it's there because this particular cryptid uses it to devour people who upset it.
Yeah.
So that it can stuff an entire human being just right into its middle.
Straight in without chewing. Straight into the gullet. Yeah.
So it's really like No Face from Spirited Away.
Something like
right?
Yeah.
Where it's actually just a mask on his face and his actual mouth is just in the middle of his stomach and it's just a horrible disaster.
Yep, that's right.
Ooh,
that's right.
awful.
Yeah.
And the reason that the Mapinguari supposedly devours people is that it's a defender of the forest.
Okay.
It's kind of the Captain Planet of the Amazon.
A very hairy Captain Planet.
A very stinky, hairy Captain Planet.
Why doesn't he have his own show then?
Because he smells bad.
Oh.
And this creature would
Too
require
hairy.
smell-o-vision.
Too hairy.
That too. It appears that... so I have made that joke about it being the defender of the forest because the stories of the Mapinguari are that they over-harvest or they kill too many animals or they're just disrespectful and burn and they do bad things. And one of the common threads around that is the peccaries. Peccaries, for those of you who don't know,
They're like little piggies.
they
They're so
kind
cute.
they
Yeah.
aren't pigs,
Well,
but
they're
they
cute.
look and act a lot like the pigs.
They're in the pig family.
They are on the you know what? I don't even know if they actually are in the pig family, but they're several feet high. They can weigh up to 100 pounds, which equates to 45 kilograms. They've cloven hooves. They're really hairy little critters, and they're omnivores, so they will eat anything. Though they prefer vegetation, so they dig in the dirt and they eat up roots, and then they eat grasses and trees and
They're
whatever
really-
comes their way.
They're really kind of a cross between goats and pigs when you think about it, you know?
Yeah, well, goats
totally
and pigs are actually kind of the same thing in just a different profile. They will both eat just about anything.
Yeah.
One has more hair than the other, and that's really the difference.
Yeah, and one has cloven feet. And pigs don't have cloven feet, do they?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I didn't think that they did.
Oh, totally have
Oh,
cloven feet.
okay.
They are part of the suborder, the same suborder as,
Oh, are they?
as pigs.
Okay, when I did the initial reading, I got the feeling that they were on a different branch, but it was just...
They are even-toed ungulates.
Yes. Okay, they are part of the even-toed
But they,
ungulate branch.
yeah, so goats and deer have something different going on with them. They're not part of that, apparently.
Really?
Okay.
That goats and deer... you know, we're not going to go to that path.
They have a different teeth.
Oh,
setup.
their palate? Okay.
It's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because here's the thing is that the peccary, it turns out, is a great source of meat.
Yeah.
And so folks in South America love to kill them and harvest them to eat. And there are many, many stories of guys going out and killing way too many peccaries at once, only to have the Mapinguari show up and chase them away from their prize. So
That's rude.
well, it's because they were disrespecting the forest and taking way too much at one time.
More than
is
they
what the
need.
stories say.
More than they need.
Yes. I will say that this whole eating people in the stomach mouth thing.
Feeding them straight into your gut.
Yeah,
it's a little weird.
your big people eater, you know, the big middle people eater portion. That's a little off of some of the descriptions, which say that this cryptid is a vegetarian.
Yeah.
It's not a vegan, because even cryptids won't be vegans.
So if
but
it won't eat people unless they're vegetables.
no. Well, see, that's the problem. Is that we've got these two sides of the story, where it is if the Mapinguari is observed eating with its upper mouth, its head mouth, it's only going to eat vegetation. It only uses the stomach mouth for devouring humans. So either it is a vegetarian or it's an omnivore, which means that we're safe as long as we don't disrespect the forest, or we're all on the menu.
We're screwed. But yeah, although I'm not sure. They say it's a vegetarian, or or maybe an but how would they know? It's like it's only glimpsed occasionally. So how do they really know what it eats?
Well, okay, so one of the ways that we know that is through the stories that are told, because there's a story that
But
is
that's what I mean.
pretty
Is how
famous.
do the people who tell these stories know this?
Have they found droppings?
Well, so it seems to be through observation of possible attacks as well as bite marks. Because here's a story that we have here of a farmer who said that his herd of cattle, it was like 100 cattle if I remember right, and over a very short period of time, all of his cows were killed and eaten or fed upon, and he blamed it all on the Mapinguari.
Uh-huh.
Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty sure that this guy was just bitter because he originally started out farming goats, only to find out that Chupi had moved into the area. And then he went for cows.
Oh, so you, Chupacabra.
Just to find out that the Mapinguari was also in there. It's not Moppy's fault that he likes cow.
Yeah.
Come on.
So in this case, it probably was the message he was sending is not even so much that I hate cows, it's just like you cleared all this area to raise cows, mow down all these trees. Maybe is that the message? Because you wouldn't think the Mapinguari would really hate cows, would you?
No, because I mean cows are dumb, lovable critters, so I'm guessing that it was to send a message.
Yeah, but I mean, not only are you clearing a bunch of forest, but a large herd of cows and a naturally large herd of cows does some things to the environment around it that is a complete misuse often of the environment, and like really. So I can see if that follows, right, that he will only it will only go after things that are really threatening their environment for whatever reason, whether it be killing too many of one thing or clear cutting and whatever. A giant herd of cows, trying to bring the number down to a more sustainable harmonious group makes sense to me as well.
But I do like harmonic.
I like harmonic.
Harmonious.
Yeah, harmonious. Sorry.
That's a great point.
So he's a greenie. Okay.
That could be it.
He's greenzo.
Yeah.
It turns out that the Mapinguari sees the bigger picture and says, "Look at all the methane those cows are producing." I don't know.
Yeah, all that belching and what comes out the other end, and a lot of methane.
Farting.
Oh my God! She said it.
Yeah.
It turns out, by the way, cows are terrible on waterways because they just destroy the banks of all streams and rivers.
Yeah, they do. Definitely.
Which is a huge natural hazard.
Again, can in large enough numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true.
Now they found out in some ecosystems, like in in the Midwest or in America, they found out when they did away with all the predators that the elves and the deer actually did a lot more damage than they would have done normally when things were a little more imbalanced because their hooves just chew things up like with cows.
It's a really interesting study. I think Yellowstone. They did a huge study.
They
re-released a bunch of wolves into Yellowstone, and they found out that literally everything suddenly just became way better.
Yeah.
I mean, everything. Like, even the fact, like, the forest, the actual trees in the forests were suddenly way healthier.
Yep.
Because they just kept everything in check. You need those kind of those top predators to really keep everything in check. So maybe that's what this is. Yeah. Sorry, that's probably too close.
No. I mean, it's a great idea. I mean, it could explain a lot of things, which we'll get into when we're in the theory section. Let's continue with their description because we just have a couple of little bits of description of the Mapinguari left. Turns out this particular cryptid is not indestructible. You remember in the off that arrows and bullets can't go through it? But if you shoot it in the head, I'm guessing through the eye, you can kill it. I don't know where this information comes from, but you see it everywhere, which is weird because of the fact that there has never been a body found and nobody actually says they've ever killed one, yet they tell you this is how you kill it. So that's a suspect piece of information.
Obviously, a few people have killed them, but they just didn't bother bringing the body back home.
Or it would smell too bad.
Yeah, I mean, either it would smell too bad or, if this is a very old oral tradition, I think it's fair to say that there's the possibility that somebody 300 years ago
once upon a time
killed one, and said, okay, well, this is how you do it if you ever really need to, but really try not to, because the only reason they're going to come after you is if you're being horrible.
Right.
Yep.
See, final bit of information we have here. So overall, I think we've all kind of established that the Mapinguari sounds like a legend, as Devin was just saying years ago. And it is possible that that's the case, but there actually is today, or in recent history, a group of people who have been actively looking for it, and they were at least a couple of years ago, headed by a man named David Oren. Oren was an ornithologist, which is hilarious.
That's good.
But I think that's pronounced ornithologist. You say ornithologist. Did you make it? Okay, forget it.
Yeah, no, okay. I did that on purpose.
Okay, forget it.
But he was an ornithologist, and he went to South America on a regular basis to study the birds there. And at some point while he was there, he heard about and then became very interested in the Mapinguari. He's gone on several expeditions over the years, but of course has never found anything conclusive. I mean, it's funny is that I read the articles about him, and he's going down there, he's doing... This is the same thing that Bigfoot hunters do, which I just totally don't get.
I mean, the call?
Yes, he goes down and he does this call. He has no idea if it's the right call. He could literally be saying, shut up and run away in their language, but he has no freaking idea, but he's still bellowing this noise out.
Hopefully he's not saying something like, hey, I'm a hot mopping glory chick, come and have me.
Floppy ladies!
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like me with my cats. You know, if I'm trying to call my cats, I might go, meow, meow.
Yeah, we've had a conversation about that, actually.
Yeah,
we've heard you do that before.
Yeah, I don't know what the cats hear at their end, if that even remotely sounds to a cat like a meow.
Butthead.
Yeah,
butthead.
it could be.
Apparently he thinks butthead is an endearment. Did you know that means?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I'm used to it, Bozo.
Yeah. You are kind of a butthead. Yeah.
But you know the thing is that he's been down there for several expeditions. He hasn't found squat.
No.
I don't know if he's still doing these. It sounded like his career, a lot of people were looking at him very poorly for this in the scientific community. It's frowned upon to look for a cryptid like this and buy in so heavily. Mm-hmm. So we don't know. So I guess this is the initial fail for science. So our questions here, as we get into theories, are... What is the Mapinguari, and
does it really exist?
Does it exist or does it not?
Yeah.
So let's.
I want to say though, for Mr. Oren, is that I don't think from a professional standpoint he's done anything wrong, because it's not like he's out there publishing loony articles about it. He just goes out and walks around the jungle looking for evidence that it might exist.
Well, he publishes stuff about it,
but I mean, he doesn't make loony claims about it. You know.
Well, that depends on your definition of loony.
He doesn't say stuff like, "Wow, this totally exists," you know, and it's super badass and it's 13 feet tall. And I mean, he doesn't say stuff like that. He just says, I think it might exist. Maybe, possibly, there's something to it.
Yeah,
we should look.
He's reproducing accounts from natives.
Yeah.
And so in that way, he is recording their
tradition,
their perspective, and their stories. But he's taking it in a very serious scientific approach, and he is not pursuing very serious scientific things according to the scientific community. Yeah. So I understand where you're coming from, but that is the reason that they are poo-pooing him for doing it.
There's it's one of those things. There might be just a few of them out there. They might just be very elusive, so it's all for naught.
And we're going to cover that in
theories.
We'll
talk about that in a minute, but
which we should do right now.
Yeah.
Remember, it's up to us. Bigfoot is a crucial part of the ecosystem if he exists. So let's all keep Bigfoot possibly alive for future generations. Unless he doesn't exist, then we shouldn't. The end!
What the deuce is that?
From Futurama, it doesn't really matter.
Oh, okay.
It's just how I feel about this.
Okay.
Right?
Good. Yeah. Well, then you're going to be happy to know that we're going to get into theories. How's that? Is that
Perfect.
Good?
We're going to solve this one.
So the first theory is that indeed the Mapinguari is
just
a legend. Because it sounds very legendary.
Yeah.
And as we all know, every culture out there has stories of creatures that they use to explain. They use them to explain away things that they just don't understand.
Well, I think also that every culture has a story to scare the crap out of the kids so they won't wander off into the darkness.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I mean, this theory does say, could be based on something
Something, we don't know.
Right. But I would say pretty solidly most indigenous people have some lore around something that is deeply discouraging greed and overuse of land.
It's absolutely true.
But is usually based on some
actual creature,
whether it be
a bear or a lion or whatever.
Right, exactly, or a fox or.
And the thing is that this area, this part of South America or South America itself, has some really unique creatures that are in this legendary vein. My favorite one is the Bodo. This cracks me the hell up.
Oh yeah, the dolphin. That
Yeah, the Bodo
shapeshifts.
is a dolphin that lures girls away from their village and then has sex with and impregnates them. So whenever a girl shows up and she shouldn't be pregnant,
Quote unquote.
quote unquote, shouldn't be pregnant because she is not
She's single,
married.
yeah.
You know.
Grab a dolphin and have a shotgun wedding. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well,
yeah.
it means that this dolphin critter has shown up, and everybody is pulling out their iPhone and sending back and forth dolphin and eggplant emojis. Now, I did a bunch of reading, and it turns out that having a creature like the Mapinguari to blame things on is a great way to save face when something goes bad or you don't do the best job that you could.
Yeah.
So
my house fell over, and that's not because I can't build a foundation worth of crap. Yeah.
There's